Okay, I think we're live, Giada. So, John Donnelly from your Holistic
Awesome.
Academy, and my guest today is Giada Labrecque from Galway. Welcome, Giada. How are you today?
Hey, thank you. I'm really good. I am house sitting for a friend, so I'm not in my usual location,
Yeah,
but I'm very good otherwise. Yeah,
good stuff.
hanging out.
So you're primarily a massage therapist, Giada. That's primarily what you do at the moment,
Hmm.
yeah? And
Yeah, and have been for the last 5 years.
yeah, and your company is Office Needs and also She Needs.
Hmm. Yeah. So unfortunately, Office Needs is not really up and running right. But I'd like to be able to, as we were just talking about, get on to the online portion of what we could do through Office Needs. Obviously, you can't do chair massage, but we could talk about self-care and stretches and strengthening and what you need to do if you have tension headaches and stuff like that. And then She Needs is my private practice. It's where I treat women of all ages and stages of life.
Yeah, and self care solutions is something that you're working on, Chad. You're working on a series of books at the moment, and so tell us about that
Mm-hmm.
self-care solutions.
So the first book is called Self-Care Solutions at Work. And essentially, it is a practical resource and guide for how to take care of yourself while you're working or even really outside of work. I just kind of targeted it to people who are at work because I've worked with so many, people who work in offices or in factories, assembly lines, people who drive cars all day, whether it's like Uber or taxi, or people who are on their feet all day. They all kind of have their same kind of aches, pains, repetitive strains. And so the book, Self Care Solutions at Work, is just different ways of targeting your aches and pains and how to address them and kind of preserve your life, let's say, for avoiding arthritis and back pain, making you feel better for longer. Um, I've signed a contract just a week ago with the publisher, and the book is all done. So it's just a matter of weeks before it's out, and then it'll be accessible to everyone.
Excellent,
Yeah.
excellent. We're
And
looking forward to that. Yeah, yeah. So,
yeah,
Jana, tell us how did you get involved in this type of work?
how did I get involved with that? You know what? I've just always liked helping people. Um, that's kind of what it boils down to. Is it when I see somebody who is not feeling good and I can do something that they end up believing that they do feel good, it makes me feel better. So it's kind of selfish, but it's kind of like a back and forth reciprocal kind of deal.
Yeah,
And that's where it came from. The book mainly came from I just found myself repeating myself all the time, just saying the same things to people over and over again. It's always the same stretches that I teach people, always the same suggestions for how to relieve whatever ailments they have. And so I figured, eventually I should just put this all onto paper so that people don't have to come to me to hear it. They can just open up a book and read it, or, go online and find it online. And I don't think, like, I haven't seen any books that are that kind of practical self-help. I find most self-help is very conceptual and kind of in the mind.
yeah,
But this, I want it to just be the most practical, down-to-earth self-help book that you can find. And that's kind of what's the word? The idea behind it.
yeah. So it's going to be filled with sort of practical tips, and
Mm-hmm.
you've got an understanding of all the meridians and the acupuncture points and all those type of things in the body. Yeah.
Actually, I just started learning traditional Chinese medicine. So there's not much in the book by way of meridian points and how they do and what. This is more information that I would have gained from my massage therapy education.
Yeah.
But now that I am learning the acupuncture points, I will be more confident to mention certain points in the next books when they come out, or even like an edited edition of Self-Care Solutions at Work. I will be able to infuse that knowledge in. I do quite a bit of shiatsu in my treatments, but that's not something that I think I feel confident yet putting into a book and bringing out into the public. Right now, it's just kind of how I use it in my own treatments. But gradually, we'll get to that place where I can say, oh yeah, you just press into this point just below your collarbone, and that'll relieve your cough, kind of thing.
Yeah. So your sort of holistic marketplace, Giada, is what fascinates you most, holistic health and wellness.
I think there's so much potential, and I call it magic. I think some people would roll their eyes at that, but it really is magic. And I think the world is full of magic, or at least it once was. And since maybe the Industrial Revolution, we've subdued a lot of that magic. And we've turned our back on nature for capitalism and for monetary gain. But I think that's made us very sick and very disconnected. And so now we need to return to nature and the natural ways of healing and medicine, looking at what food can actually do for us in the realm of healing instead of just filling our bellies, what it can do to improve our, I don't know, you name it. And there's some kind of food out there that'll help you with it, right? There's a lot of foods that have been used as medicines for 5, 6, several thousand years, and yet nobody really knows about it. And why? I don't know. There's just lobbying against it. There are the forces that be that don't want us to know how to take care of ourselves, how to heal ourselves with the plants that grow right outside our front door. So this is what inspires me, is to bring that back.
So like it's sort of an awakening of higher consciousness now, Giada, that bringing people back to the reality of the true self, if you like, and the awareness of what health is really all about. You got to turn inwards, really, don't you?
Yeah, and there's also an element of connection. You have to reach out. Like, yes, go within and learn about yourself and listen to your body and kind of pay attention to the patterns that you might be unaware of or unconscious of. But it's also about connecting and reaching out to people who do know, instead of just going to like WebMD and typing in your symptoms and being horrified at the results. Reaching out to people who might have a background in nutrition or in traditional Chinese medicine, or I don't know, chats. I don't know. There's so many things. I'm going kind of blank right now. But there's going within, but also going out in the right way, if that makes sense.
So there's a whole debate at the moment, Giada, about sort of conventional or mainstream medicine as opposed to alternative or complementary or holistic. So I guess that debate is ongoing, and obviously there's space for both in our society, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, I'm never going to say that Western medicine doesn't have its place. It absolutely does. And what we should be aiming for is integrative medicine, where we take the merits of Western medicine and we take the magic of alternative medicine and we bring them together so that we have the best winning chance of solving our problems, right? Yes, like there is a place for Western medical intervention, but sometimes the problems are a lot easier fixed than one might think. And sometimes it's not just taking a pill and that's the remedy. No, that's sometimes the Band-Aid. And there's a much deeper, more sinister problem that can be addressed naturally. So we need to pick up our own socks to actually search out those natural answers instead of just turning to what we've been programmed to believe is the only way of taking care of ourselves, which is, going to a pharmacist and getting chemicals. That's actually very unnatural. And so we need to actually ask the questions and find out what the natural ways are first, I think. That's my opinion.
Yeah, and it's a great opportunity now because there's so many incredible therapies are beginning to get more and more recognition now. So people and this, I guess with the modern internet world, you have that information at your fingertips, but you need to find the experts who actually know what they're doing. And so you've gathered a huge amount of expertise already in your career already with what you've been doing.
Yeah, slightly. I wouldn't necessarily call myself an expert in anything just yet, but definitely I would call myself an enthusiast. I'm a strong believer in these methods. I don't know if I've actually put in enough time to be an expert. I think it's like 10,000 hours, right? I don't know if I've hit that target just yet. But yeah, no, definitely on the path to that.
Yeah, and your passion is holistic health, and I think that's why we met first on the Outstanding Network Giada with Pat Slattery, but immediately I connected with you because of your passion for holistic health and wellness, and that's what the Holistic Academy platform is about championing people who are in the holistic health and wellness field. So tell us a little bit more about your connection with Your Holistic Academy so far.
Yeah, so actually, Your Holistic Academy is the realization of a dream that I had, but luckily I wasn't the one who had to do it. Back a few years ago when I first moved to Ireland, I met a group of brilliant holistic practitioners. We were a group of nutritionists, reflexologists, energy healers, acupuncturists, yoga instructors, coaches, a very solid group, and very versatile group of natural therapies. And we had this idea, we wanted to create some kind of platform where you could kind of find access to all these different therapies, but not just access them, but understand them, and maybe talk to practitioners and get a consultation so that you could come to them, here, this is what my issues are, and then they could say, okay, maybe you should speak to the wellness coach, or maybe you should speak to the acupuncturist, because a lot of people just don't know where to turn. And so that was our idea. And because we were all holistic practitioners and not by any means in the realm of marketing or sales or web anything, we just weren't able to get it done. And so that project kind of fell by the wayside, and we all turned inwards to our own projects. So when I met you and when you introduced me to Your Holistic Academy, it was almost like a relief of like, oh, thank gosh, somebody's doing this, and I'm just delighted to be involved with it, because I think the tides are turning. People are opening up to concepts of natural therapy. It's no longer just like hippy dippy woo woo, a lot of people kind of will roll their eyes at it being that. But no, I think a lot of people are opening their minds to what natural medicine means and what it could mean for them health-wise.
Yeah.
So this is Your Holistic Academy is very important. It's going to be kind of a beacon for people, like a lighthouse of, okay, that's where to go to, that's who to speak to. There's finally a solid resource. Okay, I'm curious about natural medicine. I can reach out to these people and they will help me. Someone will help me. And we have such a large team that you are almost guaranteed to find not just one answer to your problems, but several, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's also the magic in Your Holistic Academy, is the variety and wealth of information that we have all together.
Great, Giada. And it's also like, obviously the community, we're building a community of people who have got those skill sets and who can bring those skill sets into the marketplace. And I think if you look at the corporate world now, the corporate structures, obviously stress is the biggest challenge, really, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
a lot of the corporate structures are sort of really looking at how they're looking after their people, and there's a lot of things need fixed, really, isn't there? I mean, so for me, it's like, how do we address that? How do we change the culture, if you like, within organizations?
Yeah, we definitely need to encourage a paradigm shift of what it means to take care of yourself and take care of the people who work for you if you are kind of the employer. What it means to have a culture of self-care or of wellness in the workplace. You know, we've all, I can't speak for you, I can't speak for everyone, but I've worked in office settings before where I've just felt like a number and that people didn't actually care how I felt and what my stress levels were, and, you know, all those things. And I think people very quickly resent an environment like that. They don't appreciate going to work if they don't feel appreciated. And if they did in turn feel appreciated and recognized, and then they might actually want to perform more. They might actually put a bit of heart into their work instead of just, you know, oh, it's just a paycheck, it pays the bills kind of thing, you know? I think a big part of our health and wellness comes from our mental health. And when people are stressed, when people don't want to be where they are, that's a very quick path to negative mental health, depression, anxiety, you name it. It's a very kind of slippery slope into that. And so we need to work on that proactively, not reactively. So by encouraging a culture of self-care and of wellness, then you are more likely to have a healthy team of people working for you than a miserable one, right?
Yeah,
I don't
sure.
know if I answered that question, but.
And yeah, of course. And I mean, the productivity levels, Giada, because obviously corporations are interested in financial rewards.
Their bottom line.
And bottom line is productivity. So, I mean,
Yeah.
so we can actually do them a huge favor by bringing those holistic programs. Yeah.
If you are looking at the amount of sick days that people take and stress leave, if you can just remedy that, because you implemented wellness into your workplace, you got rid of 2 sick days for every one person that works for you. That's a massive impact on your bottom line. That's just like obviously hypothetical, and there could be much more to that. But like, if your employees now know how to, you know, let's say manual handling, if they now know how to lift properly and why they know why they need to lift properly, you're way less likely to have people out on injuries for months at a time and potentially costing a lot of money by way of physiotherapy and, you know, kind of the reactive therapies, even like you said, stress. A lot of people end up taking time off because of stress, because stress is insidious and it will find your weakest link and manifest there. So stress isn't always just up here. A lot of people hold it in their body. And then if it ends up that their back goes into spasm, let's say, because of stress, or they start having migraines because of stress, they won't be able to show up to work, right?
Yeah.
And so it's about taking care of people so that they can in turn show up to work, and yes, your bottom line will be better, but also their general well-being is much better off as well.
Sure. Yeah. And even the interaction in teams and the harmony in teams, like all the emotional issues that show up in the workplace. And if we can address all of that, because obviously the holistic is not just physical, it's mental, emotional, spiritual, all. And I mean, even the spiritual aspect, I mean, why are people showing up to work? Why are they doing what they do? Do they love their work? I mean, that's all to do with holistic health, isn't it, as well?
Absolutely. Yeah. There's a lot of philosophy behind that. One I was listening to yesterday, it's the Japanese philosophy of ikigai, And it's kind of a person's reason for getting up in the morning. They're the reason they get out of bed and what they want to do with their life. And a lot of people don't know what their reason is. So they drag their feet getting out of bed because they're like, what is the point of all this? Right. So if we are more programmed to do the self-work and to be open to those kinds of healing and mind opening, I don't know, practices, whatever it is, then we start to actually have a reason to get out of bed, to show up to work, to have a smile on our face, which makes life a lot more worth living.
Yeah. So I guess, Giada, if when in any corporation, the first person you should really meet in the morning is the holistic health professional. Really, you should really spend an hour before you start your work.
Wouldn't that be ideal?
With a holistic health professional, and you should have a self-care solutions book on every desk in every corporation, really. So that's that's something that we need to figure out how we're going to get that done.
Yeah, I mean, I think if it was encouraged that, when you got into work, the first 10, 15 minutes were spent stretching and getting some movement into your body before you sat down in front of a computer, or even at lunchtime, making sure that you took a walk outside to get some fresh air and some sunlight, instead of just being like, oh, just go down into the basement, into the canteen where you eat, food that has barely any vitality in it. It's much different atmospheres.
So we could seriously affect the productivity levels in every corporation by taking this approach, couldn't we? It really could.
Oh yeah, I very, very strongly believe in it. It's just a matter of actually people putting it into practice. They can have the book on their desk, but then if they don't open it and do the stretches, then what? Right? It's on people to take the onus of responsibility and be like, yeah, I'm going to take care of myself. I'm going to sit up straight. I'm going to work on my posture, and I'm going to do these 15 minutes of stretching and movements so that I'll feel better. And it doesn't take much for your body to thank you and for your mental health to improve once you start doing these things on a regular basis.
So brilliant, Giada. So how can people get in touch with you? What's the best way to get in touch with you right now?
It's a great question. I feel like I should have something a bit more easy for people to access me, but they can contact me by my email is info@officeneeds.ie. So Office Needs is spelled OFFICEKNEADS, and that's .ie. So needs is kind of like needing, right? For massage, Office Needs. And then obviously if people go through your Holistic Academy, I can be found in the directory there. And there's plenty of other lovely people to chat to through your Holistic Academy as well. So that's what I would recommend. Obviously through Facebook is a possibility as well. Instagram, stuff like that.
And anybody that's watching this recording, we can put up the links, Giada, and afterwards you can maybe put up the links to your how we can contact you afterwards as well. Giada, it's been an absolutely fantastic conversation. Really enjoyed it, and thank you so much for coming on. And delighted to we're getting the opportunity to work together on your Holistic Academy project, and we're going to get that self-care solutions into every corporation around the world.
Fingers crossed. Let's do it.
Thank you so much, Giada. Take care. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Bye.